Hey everybody, welcome to Truth Talks TV. Now I'm not even gonna lie, in this episode I am excited to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. I know I say that a lot, but I really mean it this time. We are going to be talking about love languages, and I'm not here just by myself. We have Gregory Brown with us. Now he definitely plays an important role to us. So having his perspective is everything. We're going to chat a little bit with some married couples and talk about love languages and just kind of get a diverse perspective on it all. So we'll see you inside. Father God, in the name of Jesus.
No, we're not about to pray.
We not?
No.
I thought that's what we do when we open our show.
We talking about love.
Okay, hey everybody.
Okay.
I didn't even realize we started. I guess the tape is rolling.
See,
It's rolling.
It's
rolling.
Rolling.
All right, well, hey, since y'all are here and clearly we've started and didn't even I didn't even realize.
Wasn't paying attention, but it's okay.
But anywho, we here and welcome to Truth Talks TV. And guess what? We have a very special someone today.
Because you trying to say,
Hey, everybody.
Then what? Then what?
Mr. Then What is here. And
Okay.
he is also our
Videographer.
Yes.
So he's the man behind the scenes, recording, helping us to get these mics straight. I don't know where we would be if Gregorith is not with us. Like,
She didn't King James my name.
Yes, Gregorith. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
yeah.
with us, Greg. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I could tell you a little bit. My name is
Then
Greg.
You gotta tell
Yeah.
them where Then What came from so they can understand.
Oh, I do Christian rap.
Then what?
So that's one of my songs. It's called Then What.
Say it with me.
Then what?
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, so I do that. I do some other things too by the grace of God, teach Bible studies, have a YouTube channel. It's called The Manifestation Movement. Also, we go out and evangelize. We feed the hungry by the grace of God, things like that. So we try to do evangelism, outreach, and things like that as well. So we have a podcast as well. It's called Solid Talk, Speaking Out Loud in Depth.
Amen.
And we have guests on. Nicole has joined me on there a few times, so I praise God for her.
Yes. Awesome time.
Yeah. Other than that, just love the Lord, and I'm also into the videography as well. So I do music videos, shoot my own music videos, and things like that. So we ain't gonna talk all about me. From my understanding, we're supposed to be on here talking about love language. So I told them,
opened up the show.
I
Go
said,
ahead.
I don't know how I got on this one, but we just gonna rock with it.
Because
we just gonna give it a shot.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
And as we are, it's gonna be an awesome show today, y'all.
Oh, yes.
Just to let y'all know. So right here, we are talking as three single people. I can't say three single ladies because I forgot that Greg was on the end.
He's a gent.
He's a gent.
Somewhat.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a gent.
Oh wait. Okay.
you're
Yeah. I am a
single
gent.
gent.
I am a
Wait a minute,
gent.
somewhat.
I am a
We
gent.
need to
I am a gent.
He's a gent.
No,
He's a
it's-
gentle giant.
I realize that could be taken many different ways, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna accept it.
Okay. Gentleman.
I am a gentleman.
M-E-N.
Yes.
He's an M-A-N.
100% gentleman.
100%.
Yes.
Gentleman.
100%.
And he's
Sorry.
nice. He pulls out the chair for us. He asks us, do we want water? Then what?
I do what I can do.
We
You
appreciate
gonna rap on
you.
the show for us?
I wasn't told I would be.
Okay.
You gotta drop some bars.
I'm
You gotta
sorry.
drop
He
some
ain't gonna
bars.
do it.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
don't know. I could maybe pull out some unreleased stuff, but
Ooh.
maybe at the end. Maybe at the
Okay.
end.
We here
so
for
he said
that.
Maybe at the end.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's get going because we fooled around enough.
We did.
And I
We did.
know that, Gregory's like, don't you pull out no more extra stuff that you ain't previously discussed with me.
All right.
Because he said he could shut it all down.
Shut it down.
Click a button. Boop. We gone.
Because he's in control.
He is. For the moment. Yeah. Huh? Yeah.
All right, so let's
Anywho,
get to it. We
let's
talking about
get
love
to it.
languages.
I love
So, it's February. All things love.
all things love.
Love. So, I believe that there are 5 love languages. And not everyone knows what they are. So, there's words of affirmation, So what exactly are words of affirmation?
So actually, let's go through the list,
okay,
and then we'll go through each one.
Okay.
So we got words of affirmation. We've got quality time. We've got gifts. We also have acts of service and physical touch. So physical touch. There it is. There it is.
That's it.
We don't even got to talk about that one because you just did it. Okay, now that's a little much.
That's weird. That's
that
weird.
is a little
okay.
weird. That's like me giving you a broccoli.
Okay.
You know, you want a piece of it's exactly.
Don't.
There you go. That's how that made me
back
feel.
to the love languages. Back to the love languages.
So the first
Greg
one,
liked me touching him. He liked it. He smelled.
I guess we found out what mine is.
Then what?
You're not gonna let them what go, are you?
No.
No, it's not. It's not gonna go. Okay. So let's talk about the first one, words of affirmation, and I'm actually excited to talk about that because that's one of my stronger.
Oh, okay.
Strongest. I should know what that should be, right?
You're a writer.
I am.
You're a writer.
Yeah.
Strongest.
One of the strongest ones for me. So words of affirmation. When you think about affirming someone, it's not always, complimenting them, making them feel good, but also speaking life into that person. You're affirming who they are, validating, not necessarily because they don't know who they are, because they should. You know, the word of God affirms us regularly. He tells us who we are. He tells us that we are a child and children of God. He tells us that we are sons and daughters of the Most High God. So if there's ever a question who you are, it's clear. You can open that book and find a whole lot of words that'll affirm the truth of who you are. But when you think about it in more of a relational standpoint with relationships, you can think about it like if your husband or your wife, in your case, you could say like, oh, honey, I love how you did this, or, your hair looks beautiful today, or, I really like that cologne on you, or you're affirming their value or their worth or what they mean to you.
Right.
So that's more so words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until it happened to me how much that actually affects me. Or let me restate, when it didn't happen.
Okay.
And I was starting to feel like, oh my goodness, does this person like me?
Yeah.
And then I realized when I heard those words, I was thinking, wow, I feel love. And it caught me off guard, like, oh my goodness, that is something that really affects me. Wow. So it took me not hearing it to realize that when I started questioning it, I'm like, why am I questioning this? I don't feel like, I think he likes me. When we hung out, it was cool, but I don't know because he didn't say anything.
Right,
but then it's like, oh, pause. It's the words. That's what brought my attention to the fact that that's what really connects with me or resonates. Now, it doesn't mean, it's a quick disclaimer, just because it's 5 love languages, it does not mean that the person doesn't love you because you don't receive it the way you want, or you don't give it the way that they want. Because I still believe as Christians, as people, just as humans, we need to be empathetic and understand that everybody's not like you.
Correct.
And because you don't receive it or give it a certain way, you can't just blanket say, oh, they don't love me or they don't like me.
That's true.
That's not.
That's
everyone
true.
is different. We all have different personalities. We all have ways and mechanisms of showing
expressing
love.
ourselves. Yes.
And God shows his love in a myriad of ways. And if God doesn't answer you in a word, he may have used a blessing or a small gift or whatever. You're going to say, God don't love me? Oh, absolutely. We know he loves you.
That's true.
So affirmation to me, is something that I think resonates strongly with me. I don't know if that's something that you, Greg, or Kiki would like to chime in on as far as
he grabbing his beard. He grabbing his beard.
I just made him thinking. That's how I think.
What that mean?
That's just how I think.
Okay.
Well, recently, I've been trying to do better with words of affirmation. Not even so much from a romantic standpoint, but just complimenting people more.
Yes.
Just trying to. Yeah, just like Nicole, I love your hair. I love your shirt pattern.
Okay, we got stripes. He loving the stripes.
I love the stripes, the
so
pink and white stripes. I love the pink flowers. Yes.
Thank you.
I love Kiki's hair.
Thank you.
Yes.
Whatever.
The color.
Hair and shirt. We need you to be a little more creative, brother.
Okay. I love her earrings.
No, don't talk about stuff.
Every kiss begins with kiss.
I mean,
tell us what you like about us.
I love Nicole. Yeah. I just want to get mine out.
He just want to get it out. He want to get it out.
But both of them have very bubbly personalities, and I think that excitement is a great thing.
It's
a great thing. So I've been trying to do a little bit better with the words of affirmation. I don't think that's my primary one, but maybe I'm thinking like it's my second one. And I guess we'll get to my first one in a moment.
That's like my second too.
I like that you said that you were trying to do better, not just romantically, but just relationships in general, because it doesn't just apply to man-woman relationships, and families, friendships. Like, I think you should know your friend's love language too, your spouse, your significant other, your friend. I think that you should know each other's love language, because at the end of the day, how can you speak each other's language if you don't know what the language is? You know?
Yeah, it's a great point.
Consideration. Yeah, because, just like your friend can't say, oh, you mean to me because you don't speak my language. On the flip side, as a friend, you also would want to speak a language that is easiest for your friend to receive, even if it's not comfortable for you. Doesn't have to be torture. I mean, it's so many ways to do words of affirmation. Doesn't have to be verbal. You can write a note. Me being a writer, I love to write. So when I send people voice notes or voice messages or texts or emails, my heart is in it. It truly reflects what
your voice message.
Go ahead.
If anybody have ever gotten a voice message from Nicole, they be like 5 minutes, 6 minutes long. You know what? Like you can hear her dog barking in the background. Your love, so you can. I mean, I agree with you. Your love language definitely has to do with words, and it speaks to who you are because you're a writer. And it'd be like a whole 500 letter text and stuff. Take about 6 months to read. But anyway, getting back to.
So that's why.
But I appreciate your love language.
Oh,
though.
yeah. Okay.
I appreciate, and I think it's important to appreciate a person's love language, and if you're not speaking their language, understanding what their language is. And these are conversations that should take place early on, because you can't assume that, I like gifts, but he doesn't give me gifts. You can't assume that he's supposed to know if you don't have a conversation.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Kiki, I like gifts. Can you give me some gifts?
I'm gonna get you.
Is that one of them, gifts?
Yeah, let's move
right into it.
That's just small gifts. Because y'all gotta educate me on what they are.
Okay,
I think I know 3 of them.
Okay, so it's words of affirmation.
Right.
It's quality time.
Okay.
It's acts of service.
Right.
It's gifts, and it's quality time.
Physical touch.
Now you said
Physical
quality
touch.
time. Oh, physical touch.
Physical
okay.
touch.
Got it.
So what's the next one we wanna? Oh boy.
So you shared your love language. I'm gonna share mine. So my strongest love language is quality time. That's really, really important to me.
It's actually my strongest.
Okay.
Affirmation was the second, but that's okay.
Okay.
Quality
all right.
time.
Yes. So time is important. You can't. I feel like you can never get a moment back, which is true. Time wasted, time spent together, it's powerful to me. And when we speak of quality time, it doesn't mean you're on your phone. We sitting together and you're on your phone, you scrolling through social media, or we're at the dinner table and you on your phone. That's not quality time, because I don't have your attention.
You know what it does to me?
Annoy you.
Extremely. If I'm talking to you, now if we're in a business meeting or business setting and you're responding to email, we're actively working together, co-working, that's one thing. But if we're spending time as far as expressions of interest and just getting to know you, or even if we're married, your time.
Yes.
Your attention.
Time is important.
I don't mean like a tyrant, you cannot hiccup, you cannot belch, you can't go to the bathroom.
Right.
No, I don't mean that. I mean when I'm in your presence, at least let me feel like I'm important to you.
Yes, that it's value. I'm valued, that you know I'm there, that you want to be in that moment with me, because you can't get a moment back.
Yeah, I think that might be one of my worst.
Oh, God. Well, thank you for the time that you have with us today.
Yeah. I'm just Nicole knows I'm all about efficiency.
Greg is very about efficiency.
I'm trying, I don't know if I'm trying hard enough, but I know I need to be less selfish, because it's I value me time.
Okay.
So there's things that I need to do to appreciate time with people more.
Okay.
So I could definitely use some work in that area. But to answer your question, what is my love language?
Yes.
I think my primary one will probably be acts of service.
That was my guess.
Yeah, acts of service. And I've thought about this because somebody asked me this question maybe 3 years ago. What's your love language? And at the time, I didn't know what they were talking about. I hadn't heard of it or anything. I was getting to know somebody a little bit, and I was out. I had been out the game. I was out the game so long that I wasn't even prepared for the question.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so she asked me, and I learned what they were, and mine is acts of service. And as I was meditating on it more and more, as to why that is, I started thinking about my parents and what I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get real deep with this.
Go deep, sir.
No. We ain't gonna go too deep.
Okay.
We got a limited amount of time.
Manifest.
My parents, they were not very affectionate.
Okay.
They were not very affectionate. Wow. I didn't really see that affection really at all, as far as for what I can remember. Some of their marriage was tumultuous. I do believe they loved each other. They depended on each other, but it was just tumultuous, a lot of arguing and things like that. But what I realized is that they show their love toward one another through acts of service, And I remember, once again, this is not like romance, but I remember when I first bought my house rather, I had invited my parents over, and I just kind of wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
Because I never really felt like I just hung out with my parents. And one of the reasons why I wanted to hang out is because I feel like they always see me as like their son, and I wanted to them to kind of appreciate me as an adult who had accomplished. Let's just hang out.
Yes.
You're still my parents, but let's just hang out.
Make me cry.
And anyway, when they got here, literally my mom was just looking for stuff to clean.
Aww.
My dad was just looking for stuff to fix. Like she was a cleanaholic. She is a cleanaholic. He was a workaholic. And so I think that's why I lean more toward acts of service.
I got you.
Look at the things that I do. I might not always say it the right way. I might not always do the physical touch and all that, but that I think is my strongest.
Okay.
I like that breakdown.
That was beautiful to share.
And I notice a lot of men really do appreciate that, because men, I think, even instinctively or even just as a kid, they're hardwired to think, do, provide, serve,
fix it.
Yeah, so that's usually how they show and usually how they like to receive.
Right.
So but in women, sometimes I think they said the way you give it is often the way which you want to receive as well.
Yes.
They said it's often the same.
Yeah.
There are some people that are different. Like for me, it's so interesting because I love giving people little gifts to show that I care. But then when people buy me a bunch of stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. But then I interpret it in my mind as time, because it took time to get the gift. So now I feel like you took time to spend or to give something in thoughtfulness to me. Or if they give me a card, if it's just the regular Hallmark stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, well, you didn't really think about it. But if you write something in there with it, wow, now you took time to get me a card. So that's time. And now you put your words in there. So now I feel both. Because I believe that time and affirmation are kind of like side by side with me. And the close runner-up to that is physical touch. So physical touch, guys, that is something that is probably very widely debated in Christendom, because they're like, you shouldn't be touching anybody. But we're not talking about sexual touches. We're talking about affection, warm, and from the context of relationships, it could just be a hug.
Yes.
Now, I know Greg is not a hugger, which is why I intentionally, there you go. Make sure he gets his hugs. He's kind of like,
hugs
be good
are
for the rest of the
like
month.
Medically.
Good for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
Medically, they say that hugs are healthy. Like the more you hug.
Who does that as a profession, which is
really a professional hugger? How much you get paid?
I don't know.
Sign me up.
But he charges people to hug them.
Oh, I want
cuddle
that.
with them.
Oh, wait.
And it's not. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Wait.
I know it's a lot.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Too.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, but it's and they'll hug you. But you have to sign an agreement. There is no other. You can't cross the line. But they.
Yeah.
That's what
and
I read it. I'm not putting my comments about right or wrong, but I'm just saying it is there.
Well, and going back to the love language of physical touch, I'm sure when this whole notion came out, touching was okay, but now we're living in a time where people are afraid to touch because of the pandemic, because of COVID, because of being in fear that you're going to catch something. And a lot of people depend on physical touch because that's their love language. But I can't imagine what people were going through when we had the quarantine or we had to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah, I was like, pray for your hugger friends.
Yes, and it's like you people couldn't see their parents, or if they did, you masked up, but you're afraid to hug them, or you're afraid to hug your elderly loved ones because you don't want to potentially give them anything.
Wow.
So that was like a great attack, and I'm sure a lot of people suffered not being able to touch, and like. We're able to be this close now because things has changed a little bit, but that was definitely a thing.
Yeah. God is a relational God. So he's going to relate to us in some kind of way. And, man, I'm just thinking about just the idea of like Nicole mentioned the hug. And I think we were talking earlier. I saw somewhere if you hug someone for like 20 seconds, like say if a guy hugs a woman for 20 seconds, it will release endorphins.
Yes.
I think it's called oxytocin, which is the cuddle chemical or the love chemical, whatever they call it. But it'll release that.
That's
and
amazing.
then it'll make her want to do that again. So, you know.
And God created all of this because he knew.
Did.
Because he knew. It's amazing.
Make sure you're hugging the right one.
So what do you think, speaking of God and all of his eminence and genius, do you think God has a love language?
All of them.
Wow, that's a
He
great
shows
question.
He shows it in a myriad of ways. I do know that we talk about honoring him with the fruit of our lips and speaking and worship. But then also, you get me fired up. Like I'm on solid talk, but you get me fired up. But also when you think about when it says that we are ambassadors of him and of his grace, and if you love God, you are to do and to posture yourself. When he says, go out and reach the lost, go out and win souls. So now we're using more tangible expressions of serving others to win them to Christ, but we're also praising and worshiping from our mouth. So I feel like God truly, and another one, we read our word and we study, spending time with him in prayer. So every single language is touched on. I think I mentioned just 3 of them, but small gifts, you know, even when we're not killing animals and all that stuff back how they used to, but it was still a sacrifice to show of their earnings. You know, I know some people have things about giving offering or tithes or giving as a form to say, God, this is to upbuild your kingdom or your house or your however, you know, whatever people do in that regard. But a gift doesn't always have to be monetary. A gift of my time. Lord, I dedicate this to you. I consecrate this space for you, only you. I will not do anything other than whatever I need to do in relationship to you. It is yours. And then what's the last one I left out? Physical touch. I don't know that. Well, when we talk about touch with God, it's. I don't think we can like hold him tangibly, but we can touch him with the sentiments of our heart. So we can touch him with the aroma of our worship and the fragrance of, you know, so there are ways that we can relate to God. And I truly believe, and you know what? By him residing inside of us. True. Think about that.
True, because we're
in
one.
Us.
Yes,
we are
we're one with him.
Yeah.
So that you know, we're in him, but then he's also in us. So it's like, you know, people say, you know, when we operate, I believe it's the gifts of the Spirit. We're in him to operate and flow. It's like me being in the ocean, but now if I'm drinking water, that's him in me. So now the fruit is coming out. So there is an element of relation in every single area. So I like that question.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think
you
you got my mind going too. Do you have something?
Well, I was just gonna say, Nicole really did. Yeah, I do that.
You got that little scratch going on. Yeah, that must be your interpretation language.
It must be. But Nicole hit on all of them. You know what I mean? And as you were speaking, I thought about, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And I thought about Jesus washing the feet right before he left the disciples. He showed them, this is what I want you to do. Like you said, just speaking to God and things like that.
You know, and this makes me think, this actually isn't among the 5 love languages, but just thinking and talking about God, I feel like love comes, you know, automatic with him. But also, I think that God's number 1 love language is obedience. Because when we obey him, then he pours out. And we don't, like, even when we're not obedient to him or doing his will or doing what he wants us to do, he still blesses us. So I feel like a love language of God is obedience.
Yeah, I think obedience speaks to faithfulness.
I was actually going to say
speaks to faithfulness. Because if you take it all the way back to Adam and Eve in the garden, you know what I mean? Like, they had what God had instructed them to do. And then a serpent comes and he provides an alternative. You know, I call it the very first false doctrine ever was from the serpent. Ye shall not surely die. And it was the lack of obedience that separated them from God. So you know, sin does that. And so considering that now, staying connected to God, obedience has a lot to do with that. Now, he'll never leave nor forsake us. You know, it's a covenant that he has with us, you know, but I feel like that obedience is a way to demonstrate our faithfulness, where he says, obedience is greater than sacrifice. He's much rather prefer you just do right, and I ain't got to chastise you or nothing. You ain't got to sacrifice than to just do something else.
Yes. And even I'm glad that God is not like man, because even when we don't speak his language, he don't abandon us. You know, because somebody might not be speaking my love language or recognize that my love language is quality time, and I roll out like, okay, I'm not about to do this. But with God, when we're disobedient, when we're not spending quality time with him, when we're not giving in our tithes, our offering, or even our time, he don't abandon us. He's still there.
That's so good.
He's still there.
Wow.
That is so good. I just had to, for real, just take a moment, because when you think of the goodness of God, and this is where I struggle to not cry, which is why I don't like to wear makeup.
Process.
But I will cry when we start talking about love and how good he is and just how faithful he is and how he doesn't abandon us even when we fall off the mark sometimes.
Yeah. Whew. I just thought about that scripture, if you love me, keep my commandments. Yeah, when you were speaking of obedience, man, there's just so many levels to God. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than our ways. And God is love. Yes. He is love. Yes. So that's where we learn it. He shows it to us. He pours out into us so that we're able to love from a place where we can give and show love to other people. Yes.
And I love the scripture where it says we love because he first loved us.
Yep.
He always does it first.
Yes.
He doesn't expect us to do anything that he hasn't done.
Right.
So, and that's one reason. But then the second is we wouldn't even know how.
Right.
Because we don't know what love is until we've received it from love. He is love. He gives love. So now I show love. And so I feel like with these love languages, some people take it and they use it as a way to limit, to say, oh, well, you ain't speak my language, so da-da-da. No. It's not an excuse. It's not a reason to not do or not give. Well, she loved this way, and I don't love that way, so I don't have to love her because this is the way I do it. This is the way she... No, you don't give to someone love for your benefit. It's for theirs. It's selfless.
Right. It's an exchange.
Exactly. And even if they don't give it back to you, we are still to love our enemies. And now, God was talking about the different things that he does when people don't treat us right, but it's not my responsibility to pay them back.
Right. Vengeance belongs to him.
It belongs to him. And, so we cannot use love languages as an excuse, but more as a way to further engage with people for understanding. I feel like understanding is the biggest thing. Why doesn't this person respond this way? Oh, but when I send a message, they get excited. Oh, but when I give them a hug, they light up. Oh, but when I give them a small gift or a token of appreciation, they smile. This little plaque that just says I love you, or a card or a note or whatever can make all the difference in the world.
Indeed.
And small gifts doesn't mean that the person is superficial. Right. I'm not saying buying cars and houses. Right. It's just small tokens that they look at that and say, wow, this person did this for me. They got me a flower from the garden. Yes. I feel special.
Yes. I had a experience where a coworker, my name starts with a Q, and it's really difficult to find things with the Q. And so I haven't spoken to my coworker and not that we have an issue or anything, we just don't sit among each other, and so we really don't talk. So I went to check my mailbox, and I saw a purple Q, and I was like, I know who this belongs. Like, I know who did this because she loves purple. So when I got back to my desk, I called her, and I was like, thank you. And so it was, someone may view it as being small, like it was a small Q plaque with the letter Q, and someone maybe it's not like $1,000, but it meant something to me because she was being thoughtful.
That's where it is.
Yes, and that's acts of service or gifts. That's not really my love language, but it spoke to me. Yeah, because she took time out of her day to give me something that she didn't have to give me.
And it was thoughtful.
And that's where I love that you said that, because like you said, it's not your main mode of action, but it still was received as love. Yes. Because gifts and physical touch. Okay, no, let me take that back. I do like that, but gifts and service are not my main ones. However, if someone says, I did this for you, I did your laundry or cleaned your house for you, it's like, oh my goodness, because now I can spend my time doing other things.
Right, because that has been taken care of.
And it also converts well to the other languages. So one actually can kind of cross into the other, which is what I really like. They're not mutually exclusive. Right. They can be inclusive. So I like that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, y'all are educating me today.
Okay. Yeah. We try.
I'm learning.
So we have some guests with us who they're here virtually, and I would love to hear what they have to say about love.
Hey, I'm Charlay.
Hey, I'm Gideon.
And we are the Atamus.
Hello, I'm Darius Whiteside, and this is my wife, Faith Whiteside, and we've been married for 2.5 years, and we're going to speak to you today in regards to love languages.
Hey, you guys, I'm Dr. Antonio Schroeder.
And I am Wendy Schroeder. Hey, everyone.
You guys, we're on here today because we wanted to talk to you guys and just kind of, convey our love languages.
My wife has been a wonderful wife, a beautiful mother. It's
So kind.
we've been through so many stuff, and guys, it's a blessing, to have a woman who supports you and a woman who you can always rely on. Yeah. So one of the things I noticed that is her love language. She loves hugs, she loves listening ears, and she loves gifts. Those are few of our love language.
Yeah, you got them right. You receive love when someone's fun and having a good time, making you smile, making you laugh, cooks your favorite food, makes your life easy and your environment comfortable and stress-free. So acts of service is what the 5 love languages categorize it as. Acts of service.
Oh yeah, so what's your love language, babe?
Physical touch. I love physical touch. I like the kisses. I like the hugs. Those just a little, at random. That's why I love.
Yeah.
What about your love language?
I think mine is quality time, and I specifically like when we have conversations, and I just love the fact that we could talk for a long time, with no distraction. Because I can be a very distracted person.
Oh, yeah.
Even though
Oh, yeah.
it's quality time, I still can be distracted. But I like that we could talk. You know what I'm saying? And we just go on for hours. You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah.
That's quality to me.
Right. It's that intimacy.
Right.
Yeah. I like that too. I love it.
Exactly. So what do you think you do to, speak my love language?
Just be intentional to you when we had that time together, and when we are alone and together, we can do that. Just being intentional, paying attention, and not being distracted by anything. Just knowing your love language, knowing that you like this to be together and intimacy at the same time, that reconciles with my love language, which is physical touch.
Right.
Because I get to be next to you, I get to hold you, and maybe you're doing it, maybe you don't, but you're touching my leg, or you're rubbing my neck, or something like that, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah, and I try. No, I say I try, but and it's an area that I feel like I'm still working on with being intentional about physical touch and stuff like that, because I realized again that I could be a distracted person,
right?
And sometimes being distracted means that I'm creating a space between me and you that keeps me from physical touch. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, even now, like, there's consciousness of having to make sure that I'm not distracted, so that I can get in your space. You know what I'm saying? And be around to touch and, cuddle, or, you know what I mean? Let you know that I'm engaged.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need to, make sure I have to be, really intentional about making sure I'm in that space.
Yeah, but the other side of that is knowing that real life is happening. So we got work. We got things that we're doing throughout the day, so it's not realistic to always be in each other's presence doing that all the time, because we're so busy. But that time that we do have and that we do a lot for ourselves, we can be intentional in those moments. It's not like an obsession that I must always be touched, I must always be kissed, but when we're in those moments, that we're speaking each other's love language.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, so we're talking about the love languages. Love languages is a way on how you communicate and express your love. what language do you use? Typically, you go by the 5 love languages, whether it's acts of service, receiving gifts, words of affirmation. Which one do you dominate? And the first question is, how do you speak one another's love language? You want to talk about yours?
How do I speak one another's love language, or how do you speak? I would say it's through communication. A lot of times things are by action. Sometimes you get able to observe a person and kind of see where a person's act just by their regular lifestyle or routine, and then you can kind of get a feel just based off of being able to kind of deal with them. And also just communicating with them, spending time bonding with the individual, quality time, and you can be able to kind of see where they are as they begin to communicate. It can go a little deeper, just based off of the conversation or based off of your you converting with one another. But that's my take on it.
So personally, my opinion on my husband, I think I speak multiple languages. I'm bilingual because he has different languages. I think he dominates the strongest with the words of affirmation. If you are a follower on Instagram or like Facebook, you see he always writing words of encouragement. I mean, he's a preacher also, so that's what he does with everyone else too. But for our relationship, I think that his dominant love language will be words of affirmation. So how do I speak his love language to him? I send love notes throughout the day. Now, I might not always put them on Facebook, but I will shoot him a text when he leave out the door and he just seen me. But I'll shoot a text and be like, hey babe, I hope you have a great day on purpose. Love you.
She did.
Yeah.
She does that. And that it definitely, because especially when you kind of moving and then you kind of like, you look at your phone and you kind of read it, and then you see, you'll see that like, okay, that kind of makes you feel
real good.
Make you feel a little, make the brother feel a little good. You know what I mean, on the inside.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
fuzzy and woohoo.
Yeah, little feeling. You know what I mean?
Make him want to come back home and not sit in the driveway.
Yeah. But no, I mean,
what do you think my love language is?
I think your love language is kind of the same in a sense, but you are a giver. So you give, but you are very private sometimes with it, just depending on your comfortability. But you give. You give. I mean, I'm a giver too, but I say you give in your own way. And so I think that right there kind of fits you personally.
I think you got me.
Yeah.
Because I will give if I had $1,001, I would give 1,000 out, and I'm constantly thinking, how can it's true? What can I do for this person? What can I to make them know that I love them? I always show my love through giving. You can put that in whether it's gifts or acts of service, or I just get tunnel vision. Like I can't wait to see them, especially like when I'm giving gifts. Like I can't wait to see the other person's reaction. That's like the best. Like for Christmas, just before Christmas, my husband was talking about those He-Man, and growing up, we both loved He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, wrestling. So when he was talking about some of the 80 figures, I was thinking just before Christmas, like a couple months before Christmas, like I'm gonna go get him those He-Man action figures, and I can't wait to see his reaction on Christmas. So giving because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, that was I was acting like a full-fledged kid, and my babies wanted to play with me, and I was like, nah, I'm playing with let me play with my He-Man toys. You know what I mean? let me get my my experience back, my memories back, But no, that was so I think on that end, you fit that description. I would say, you fit that description. yeah, with me, I'm more. I like to inspire.
Definitely.
And I like to confirm. Uplift individuals. I think that's important for me, and I feel that's that's what God has given me naturally. So and I give as well. Yeah, I would say that.
As an American wife to a Nigerian husband, like, I struggle to learn his native dishes the way he likes them. He's very particular about his food and he wants what he wants. So I really worked hard to learn Nigerian traditional dishes, his favorites first. Like I mentioned before, he loves his food and he loves his wife to cook it. I couldn't be lazy and just order it and get somebody else to make it because I'm his wife. So also, since we've been through a lot in this past 2, almost 3 years, it was hard for me to sometimes find joy and make fun, make our environment fun and keep myself like in a playful place like he likes, which is very feminine and most men like that. I really struggled with that because of what we went through. So just keeping the joy of the Lord as my strength and his help with his wonderful humor and the funny movies we watch has helped me with that. So
Say not really. Sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's not. Especially when I just come back from work and, I have to either still take care of my daughter because she sees her daddy all happy, all hyped up and stuff like that. And, coming back from work, most times you're exhausted, you're tired. And sometimes at work, you don't have a good time at work. Someone either mess your day up or mess your mood up or something, just happens. But regardless of all that, we are in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship all by myself, but we are in a relationship. So I have come to learn, how to put my feelings aside. And if I feel sad or if I feel any kind of way, I've learned, to share and tell out how I feel and the way I feel, and with that, things have been a lot better.
What kind of challenges do you think you face with, speaking my love language?
I think speaking the love language isn't necessarily the challenge. It's just making my whole thing is I always want to make sure that you don't feel neglected.
Mm-hmm.
That in the moments that we do cross, whether me just coming home from work or leaving to go to work or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
You're about to do your lives and recording stuff that that in those quick moments that can still that that I'm thinking about you,
Mm-hmm.
And just embracing you, just
Yeah.
and just making sure that I'm doing that enough,
Right.
So I think that's probably the toughest thing, just making sure I'm doing that enough.
Mm-hmm.
But we we usually will sit down when we do hard times and just ask ourselves, am I doing this enough? Am I doing that enough?
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while. So
Yeah.
we always kind of keep our foundation there.
Right. And that's like people say it all the time, but communication really is key to making sure that, if there are issues with, relaying that love language. And I think I really learned early on, and I appreciate the fact that we, started counseling.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we got engaged, we was in counseling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I learned that you have to speak your partner's love language, because sometimes I could be giving my love language to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, I think I'm loving you, but you're not getting your love language.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what was happening early on. And I didn't realize that I wasn't giving that physical touch enough. And the thing is that physical touch is really high up there for me. But because of like the way that I grew up,
yeah,
I learned that, I was more reserved in showing, outward displays of affection.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was, PK. My dad was a bishop. Mom was elder in the Lord's church. Okay. And, because of that, we, they never really show outward displays of affection. Me and my sister barely saw them kiss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was in the house. We lived there. Okay. But physical touch was something I always wanted. I like to cuddle. I like to hold hands. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be like that because I like physical touch. You know what I mean? But I wasn't showing that because it's not what I learned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I would see his parents, and his parents are very lovey-dovey, touch,
yes, intimate in that way, mm-hmm. And that's what I grew up on.
Yeah,
and that's what I have as an example of the love language.
Yeah,
and then when I came to age and was going out there and dating and doing things like that, I needed that type of affection. I wanted to mirror what my parents were doing, not because I wanted to, but I needed to.
Right. That's your expression.
That. Yeah, and my parents, the way they express love to one another, they express that to us too. Mm-hmm. We always got the kisses, the hugs, the tuck in the bed, the kiss on the forehead, good night. So we got used to that type of level of love, mm-hmm. and intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I had to realize that in counseling, I got freed up to be that person, and it kind of opened up a different side of myself too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that was a challenging moment for me because it got me out of my comfort zone. I was so used to being concerned with who's watching because it's always been right. Eyes on me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Eyes on our family. Watch what we wear. Watch how we talk. How we respond. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that. That's why people snap me in PKs. But that's another topic for another day. Okay. But yeah, that's just one of the challenges that we face.
So we just talked about our 2 love languages. One thing I would like to add is sometimes I think your love language can change throughout the years, because one of the love languages that was at the bottom of my list was the physical touch, and with certain people that can stem from different things. Your childhood, growing up, or maybe not getting a lot of hugs. Now with me, growing up I really didn't get hugs and stuff like that. That's not how my family showed love. Except for in church, of course, you give the little church hug or whatever. So one of the difficult challenges, I would say, and this was major, was the physical touch. One day, and because I've always been like strong-minded and dominant, I like to initiate everything only because it feels like I'm in control. I'm in control. So one day I was in the kitchen and my husband came up behind me, gave me a hug, but it startled me, and I was I kind of froze and didn't give it. This was very early, and then I didn't give that same thing back because my initial reaction was I froze up. And but at that point right afterwards, and he took it like you kind of standoffish or step back, and was that your way of saying compare that to like love? If it wasn't,
no, I just was you mean when you made when you responded?
Froze and didn't respond or flow
I was
naturally.
Yeah, it was kind of uncomfortable. Like
what's
weird.
going on?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, and at that point, since I recognized that made him, even though I was uncomfortable, it made him uncomfortable too. I literally went to God and was like, you gotta help me with this particular area. And it didn't take God, because I was sincere, it didn't take God long to do what he had to do and concerning that area. So now, yeah, I love to touch him. And like I said, you can grow in those different areas. Something that you may not like or wasn't too comfortable with, as time goes on, or however God deals with you, you're able to kind of you know,
Yeah, you're
grow,
healed.
heal. Yeah,
You're healed.
that's the correct word.
You're
Healed in those areas. So, what do you answering that question? What part do you think was difficult with my love language?
I say like I guess affection. I guess.
That's it.
Yeah, after affection. Affection grew on me because I wasn't always affectionate like that. So as I grew, I always flow and I always show it. So even though you may be at a level, you can expect people to be on your level. So you got to kind of be patient with people. Wherever you graduate, you got to make sure that they get to their their junior prom and senior prom too. You know what I mean?
What else that came to mind is because one of the love languages is quality time, and even though we spend quality time together by us working constantly, entrepreneurs, we have our own jobs. I work from home, but I do a lot of different things as well as like homeschooling too. I would drop everything and just like, let's go here. And that's part of my language as well. Like I want to go places with you. I want to explore. I want to be in the experience. And do you think that's one of the issues that you have with me? Like I'm like, let's just go, spontaneous.
Yeah, I'm more of a planner. I plans.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I normally plan. I like to structure my stuff. I have my stuff structured, like business, family, wifey, babies, all that. Yeah, everything's kind of structured. So I'm more like I try to be organized with that. So she's more spontaneous. So which is nothing wrong with that. I think it kind of both sides kind of feed each other because sometimes you need to be spontaneous and sometimes you need to have structure. So as long as it's a balance, you're good.
With my advice for young couples out there is that are married, is to have communication, to learn how to communicate better. You see, sometimes your partner might not know how you feel. Maybe you're tired, maybe you feel sick, maybe you are having a headache, maybe you're happy. Whatever the mood that you are in is, you need to, let your partner be aware of such mood. In the beginning, we had communication, but I think it wasn't enough. But we have come to learn that, with more communication, then we can settle more of our differences.
My advice would be get deliverance together, apart, heal from your past trauma and wounds. It comes up a lot in marriage, and it's like a reflection in a mirror of everything inside of you that you really don't want to neglect yourself, and go to therapy. My others, for women, especially wives, heal from every emotional wound and trauma that's keeping you from being free sexually with your husband and sensual and seductive, because those things are really holding back the intimacy and the growth of the marriage and how far it can go. So just really work on yourself and heal.
It's respect. With every culture, with every ethnicity, there's different level of respect. There's a different approach or different ideas of respect. But we have come to learn how to respect one another.
And our spouse is going to sin sometimes against us, and we have to cover them with the love of God, the agape love that's in us.
The love of Christ.
What do you think are, some things that we could tell the new couples, child?
Communication. One of the first things that my wife and I did when we first started dating, when that first date was, what's your love language? Mm-hmm. It's so important to know that what your love language is and what your significant other's love language is, because what you think may not be for them. And just knowing what they like, knowing how they receive affection, and speaking in love, if you can do that, you can understand that, then I think it'll make everything else pretty much run smooth.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to feel wanted. Everyone wants to feel needed. And if you're in a relationship and that is being neglected, you could be heading in the direction that is troublesome for your relationship.
Right, exactly. And I definitely would say make sure that you love according to your spouse's love language. Don't, be conscious of the fact that sometimes it may be different. You know what I'm saying? And acknowledge that and honor that. Don't just, love according to the way that even though I can be conscious, I know they're loving me the way they want to be loved. But you also have to acknowledge that we're individuals in this, and I have to honor your individuality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I will also say to have real conversations. Like, absolutely. Ask the real questions. You know what I'm saying? And find out if a person, not just about their past, but what did they learn from their past. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to say this person did me dirty, this person da 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 da, and it's easy to make a situation in the past look like, it was all wrong on somebody else's part. But when you have real conversations and you ask real questions, you can find out the truth about a person's growth and maturity.
Absolutely.
And if they're ready for what you're ready for. You know what I'm saying? Ask about marriage, kids, you know what I mean, mental health.
You have to ask those make and break questions.
Yes.
You don't want to start a relationship not knowing that, and then that conversation comes up later, and then you realize that it'll be difficult to move forward in that relationship. So you most definitely need to have those tough conversations or those very important conversations very early on. Last thing anyone wants to do is have their time wasted.
That's right.
You don't want to speak to someone 3-6 months, a year, have this conversation, and then realize this is not the one for you.
Exactly.
So have those conversations. It's a mature conversation. It's adult conversations. And if the person you're speaking to don't want to have those conversations, then I would, appall you to just, just think about, what you're getting into.
Exactly. And know that when you're in relationship, those conversations don't stop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to have check-ins with each other on a consistent basis and make sure that, you do those checks in time that works for you guys. You know what I'm saying? Do it like often. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And make sure that you guys are okay in a relationship.
Absolutely. And we know that the stress of life can really get at you. Whether it's stress at work, stress from church, or whatever it is, activities that you guys do, leave that stuff at the front door.
Yes.
When you're going into your home. You don't want to bring that type of baggage. You don't want to bring work home if you don't have to, or anything like that. Just remember that once you're home, that is your sanctuary, that is your place of solitude. So and that's going to be the one space where you and your significant other should feel the most comfortable. If you're walking into your home and you do not feel that, and you're in that space is just as hostile as it is outside the doors, then you need to reevaluate what's going on in your home.
Absolutely. And no, you can still talk about what you're dealing with, but let it be a time of release.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that you can move forward to a space of peace in your house. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a couple things or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, thank y'all for chatting with us. And we'll see y'all.
So words of encouragement to other couples would be to take your time, understand where the person is, because remember that love languages are developed typically through childhood experiences and things that you experienced in life. So that's what shapes you and shapes your love language. And everyone doesn't grow up the same way you grow up. Everyone doesn't experience or feel or see things from your point of view. So it can be friction, but you have to learn each other, be patient, and meet them where they are. And it's a give and take. And typically what you normally give out is kind of like what you expect from the other person. So if my love language is X, Y, and Z, subconsciously you want to receive the X, Y, and Z. So my words of encouragement is just to be patient. Remember, it's always you have to compromise in any relationship, family, friends, marriage.
Yeah. I say, to have understanding. Try to understand. You may necessarily know where they are, or they know who you, or know where you are in your space. But it's just being able to have a level of say, okay, I'm gonna be a team player, and I'm gonna try to understand. And on top of that, communication, along with understanding, because now that I have positioned myself and postured myself for or to understand, now I have to make sure that I'm properly communicating and say, this is how I feel. This is like kind of who I am, and this is and how one can kind of fester and kind of feed off each other, and that way you can kind of move with an even flow and naturally, and that way they can kind of know exactly your makeup, who you are, having patience, and if love is there, it conquer all things. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important. So you guys, we appreciate you. And we appreciate you for entering our domain at the Schroeder's house.
Yeah.
And we want to tell you,
you ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here.
And we out.
Well, today we was talking about love languages, and I hope that you learned something. Thank you, Greg, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Can you let the people know where they can find you? Like, you're so gifted. Maybe somebody need a song or a rap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can check me out. I'm on YouTube, The Manifestation Movement, Greg Major Music. Also, Instagram, same thing, at Greg Major Music, at The Manifestation Movement. So, you can find me on those platforms. And I'm out in these streets, so you can reach me.
In these streets, you promised us something.
You got some.
I promised you something, man. I don't know. Oh gosh, y'all put me really on the spot.
Okay, well then don't do it.
Man, I was going to do some unreleased stuff.
Okay.
But let me see.
Go ahead, whip it out. What about the
goodness, man? I don't, cause this ain't it, y'all gonna have to hit a beat with the music and all that.
That's fine. Or you can do something you've done before. That's fine too.
Yeah, I'm the type. I don't like to. If I do something, I want to do it right.
Okay. Right. Spirit of excellence.
Okay.
Let's see. Do I want something new? All right. This song is called "Runaway."
Okay.
I'm liable to mess it up.
All right. All right.
Play the beat.
Well, this is the beat and the lyrics.
Okay.
Okay. No, I don't want to do that.
All right. What do you like, comment, rate, subscribe?
No, I don't want to do that either. Y'all got to give me like 3 days notice on this type of stuff.
Okay. We'll come back.
We'll show you some grace.
This song, Runaway, it's about a woman who has been hurt. Mm-hmm. And she's running from love. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fiction.
That fits. Okay.
Like most about half of my songs are fiction, but they're all pretty much based on a few things. Disclaimer 1, they didn't tell me I was doing this till today.
Okay. All right.
Disclaimer 2, there's if I were recording this, I would have to punch in, but we're just gonna give it a shot.
Okay.
So I might get out of breath on some of these.
Okay, it's all right.
But let's give it a shot. I don't even think we're going to use this, but we'll see how it turns out. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I might mess up. White wine and regrets. Said some things he shouldn't have said, like Tourette's. Still addicted to pretty dresses, leggings, and silhouettes. After sex, used to be pillow talking and cigarettes. Made you feel like you was the best when you was really next. Phone on silent, turned over, never revealing text. Laying on his chest, imagining fitting the wedding dress. Breaking necks, then you find out he's still texting the ex. Now you on that get back gang. Use a dude, but you will never get with that man. Hurt too many times before and you ain't with that pain. Tried that love thing before and now you quit that game. You be a fool to ever love again. No room for a second chance, that's a mulligan. Rejected nice guy, the attention is too smothering, but can't shake the feeling of needing a true covering. Now you put up your guard, strong and independent woman, we can see the facade. Survival instinct protecting what's left of your heart. Defense mechanisms when you need to give it to God. Love not just a feeling, it's a person. He sent his only son for the broken and for the hurting. God is love, and that's really and truly what you've been searching. Get that brokenness to Christ, let the carpenter start to working. I need to bring it around here, maybe. You wasn't born with that attitude. Tough exterior with the feminist platitude. Showing off your body and keeping them running after you. The sensuality's powerful where you find your value too. You so valuable, don't let the devil lie to you. Bright material, but you settle for something casual. What if I told you that someone loved you enough to die for you? Running from his love, but he's steadily chasing after you. You hear him calling, don't run away. Harden not your heart, please receive the son today. Who knows if this record will ever receive 100K, but word is gonna find who it's supposed to. Come with me, just like the woman at the well. Come meet a man who's surely able to tell all things you ever done that would have sent you to hell, but he came to set you free from the bondage of sin's jail. And this is true liberation. Freedom to give them every burden you've been facing. Freedom to let go of that bitterness you tasting. 7 times 70, God multiplication. Forgiving every grudge you could hold. Letting go of all the trauma, healing, being made whole. We all know that they say confession good for the soul. Fearfully and wonderfully made. You know that he broke the mold. Now, so I sing on this part. I'm not going to sing right now.
Okay,
but it says, favor is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Open up, let love in, let go of that pain. Fearfully and wonderfully, that's how you were made.
Wow.
That was dope. That was dope.
Well,
That was
I'm glad
dope.
you liked it. Glory to God.
Thank you.
You know,
Thanks for sharing that.
you're welcome. Like, my stuff be a little heavy, so I should have gave y'all a warning.
Yeah, I feel like I want to cry. Like I want to cry.
I
in the corner.
expect the
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
I mean, it's heavy, but it's powerful, and
Okay.
I'm sure it's gonna help somebody.
Yeah, well, that's the
Yeah.
goal. You know, the Lord gave it to me. Tentatively, it's called Runaway. We'll see if that's the final title. I might
alright.
change it to Fearfully and Wonderfully Made or something like that. But yeah, that's it. So
I love it.
I want to say thank you for allowing us to, not only talk about love languages, but hear verbally some words.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
do think that you gotta get words in there somewhere in your love language. I know you talk about service, but words gotta go in there.
yeah. I'm gonna
You're
try.
very good at
Right,
giving
you're a
words and
writer.
sharing words, and it really intrigues those who receive words and can hear. And we think about the Bible, a huge book of words.
Yes,
So
yes.
I definitely appreciate your gift. I never want to diminish
sir.
that. And yes, if y'all gotta hit replay and listen to it again to really listen to these words,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it will bless your life.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Powerful.
Greg. Thank
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, ladies. It's I enjoyed myself.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
This is Truth Talks, everybody.
Truth
And We'll
Talks.
see you in another episode.
All right.
Thank you.